Hello everyone, and welcome back to Horror Talks with Tate. I'm Tate, your host. In this podcast, as usual, we will dive deep into the characters, themes, director cuts, and more. From possessed cabins to chainsaw-wielding heroes, this series has it all. Terror, humor, and buckets of blood. So grab your favorite snack and settle in as we journey through the spine-chilling world of The Evil Dead. The franchise has 5 installments from 1982 right through to 2023, following a group of demonic beings called Deadites. Now these are no cuddly creatures, but they will give you a warm hug, even if it's just to possess your body. Yeah, it's just creepy what the Deadites do to human beings. So let's get to the spooky summaries and explain all about the Evil Dead franchise. Our adventure begins in 1982 with The Evil Dead. 5 college students venture into the woods for a gateway, only to stumble upon an ancient book, the Book of the Dead. What follows is a nightmarish battle against demonic forces as they fight for survival against their possessed friends. In Evil Dead 2, we rejoin our hero, Ash, as he faces off against the Deadites once again. This time, with a chainsaw for a hand. It's a wild ride of gore and comedy as Ash battles the force of darkness in the infamous cabin. Ash fights against the Deadites, trying to protect those around him, and seemingly he succeeds. Well, until he's sucked into the portal drifting between worlds. In the 3rd installment, Army of Darkness, Ash is transported into medieval times, where he must battle an army of the dead to reclaim the Necronomicon. With his trusty boomstick and chainsaw hand, Ash faces off against Deadites, skeletons, and even a doppelganger. A brutal battle begins. The Deadites of the land are extinguished, and Ash finds himself back home, safe and sound. Well, maybe. In the 2013 remake, simply titled Evil Dead, brings a new generation of horror to the screens. When a group of friends uncovers the Book of the Dead in a remote cabin, they unwittingly unleash a terror beyond imagination. With relentless intensity, this film pays homage to the original while craving its own bloody path. We follow a new cast of unfortunate souls, a family who comes in contact with the Deadites and the horrors they unleash. And in Evil Dead Rise, a franchise takes a terrifying new direction. Set in a city apartment building, the film follows Elle and her family as they face off against a horde of Deadites unleashed by a mysterious book. It's a relentless battle for survival in a concrete jungle. With each installment, the Evil Dead franchise has pushed the boundaries of horror, delivering thrills, chills, and plenty of blood-soaked fun. The franchise caught on with popular culture, featuring in comic books, video games like Evil Dead the Game and Dead by Daylight, TV series, and so much more. Do you want to know how they made these movies? Let's go to the discreet directors to discover who directed these movies and the behind the scenes. Behind the screens of the Evil Dead franchise are visionary directors who brought these nightmares to life. In the original, The Evil Dead, Sam Raimi crafted a low-budget masterpiece that shocked and terrified audience. With invention, camera works, and practical effects, Raimi created a claustrophobic atmosphere that still haunts viewers to this day. Filming began on November 14th, 1979, with a budget of $375,000 and was wrapped on the 16th of January, 1980. All the cast and crew had to sleep in the same room of the cabin while in production. During production, many of the actors were injured due to the makeup incidents. For example, many were left with chemical burns from the products used, or lost eyelashes from taking off the products used for the Deadites. The film was released on April 15th, 1983, and received a box office of $29.4 million and became a huge success. This is the birth of the franchise, and it became one of the best horror franchises ever. At the 1982 International Film Festival of Catalonia, The Evil Dead was nominated for Best Pictures and won the award for Best Special Effects. At several other events, the film also won awards in the categories of Best Low Budget Film, the Saturn Award, and Best Makeup, and in 2010 was awarded the winner of the Greatest Films of All Time in a genre of horror. The ratings of this movie proves its success, with an IMDb score of 7.4 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 86%. The actors that were joined for the film are Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams, who is Constance in the original trilogy, Ellen Sandweiss as Cheryl Williams, Ash's sister, Betsy Baker as Linda, Ash's girlfriend, Richard Domenico as Scott, and Teresa Tilly as Shelley, Scott's girlfriend. The filming location was in a cabin in the woods at Morristown, Tennessee. The weapons that they used for the film is a chainsaw, an axe, a pencil, and a sword with a handle made of human bones. The props they use is body parts, 70,000 gallons of fake blood, and fake branches for the trees moving around. And they use CGI for the full moon and stop motion. The foreshadowing of the movie is that when the group listens to the tape about the Book of the Dead, it's said that it summons the demons to possess any living things, and when the tape told the spell, something was coming out of the ground outside the cabin. Evil Dead 2 saw Raimi return with even more gore and humor. From Ash's iconic chainsaw hand to hilariously grotesque Deadites, Raimi's unique visions elevated the series to cult status. The second and third film were planned while they were filming the first installment of the franchise and were titled Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness in May of 1984. Evil Dead 2 was set to be a remake and a sequel to the first film, with Sam Raimi starting his script at home, and it took a long time to complete. The budget of Evil Dead 2 was $3.5 million, so just a slight increase from its original. Filming began on May 10, 1986, and was completed in September 1986. The film was released on March 13, 1987, and received a worldwide box office of $5.9 million, with 1 win and 5 nominations at various awards ceremonies. The categories are Best Horror Film, Best Makeup, and Best Special Effects. The ratings of the movies are an IMDb score of 7.7 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 88%. The actors that were joined are Bruce Campbell once again as Ash Williams, Sarah Berry as Annie Nobe, Dan Hicks as Jake, Cassie Wesley as Bobby Joe, and Denise Bixler as Linda, Ash's girlfriend. The weapons that they used were a chainsaw, aka a chainsaw hand, an axe, a crowbar, a knife, and guns. The props that they used were for some body parts, furniture and objects for moving around, red fake blood, green fake blood, and even black fake blood. They used CGI for some Deadites, stop motion, and backgrounds. The foreshadowing of the movie is that after Ash had to cut his right hand off because of a Deadite possessing it, he soon later changed it into a chainsaw hand, which makes him one of the iconic heroes. For Army of Darkness, Raimi delivered a medieval epic filled with swashbuckling adventure and dark comedy. With a larger budget and a grander scope, Raimi and his brother created a fantasy world unlike any other, blending horror and humor with spectacular results. The film was being planned for many years, and during development, they planned on calling the title Evil Dead 3, but was later changed to Army of Darkness. Filming began on May 20th, 1991, and took 100 days to complete, so it was wrapped on August 16th, 1991, with a budget of $11 million. The film was released in 1993 with a worldwide box office of $21.5 million and got 12 wins and 7 nominations for several awards. They received a Saturn Award for Best Horror Film with a nomination of the same award under Best Makeup. Sam Raimi was the winner of the Golden Raven at the Beef in 1993 and also won the Best Film in International Fantasy Film Awards and the Critic Award in the same year. The ratings of the movie are an IMDb score of 7.4 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 68%. We are joined in the final installment of the original trilogy by Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams once more, Ambeth Davis as Shella, Marcus Gilbert as Lord Arthur, and Ian Abercrombie as Wiseman. The filming locations are Bronson Canyon, Vescas Rock National Area Park, and Acton in California. The weapons they used for this film is a chainsaw hands, guns, bow and arrow, axes, and a sword. The props were used for skeletons, some explosions, and some fake blood. The CGI was used for some Deadites, explosions, stop motion, and backgrounds. The foreshadowing of the movie is that in the graveyard, there were 3 books, and Ash had to pick one. One of the books will summon the Deadites. In the 2013 remake, director Fede Alvarez brought a fresh perspective to the franchise, delivering a relentless barrage of terror that kept audience on the edge of their seats, with stunning practical effects and a dedication of practical gore. Alvarez honored the legends of the original while forging his own path. The 4th installment of the franchise was planned in 2004 before being announced in July 2011. Bruce Campbell said in the interview that they are remaking Evil Dead and that it will be amazing, and the budget of the film is $17 million. Filming began on April 11, 2012, and took 100 days to complete. So the film wrapped on July 12, 2012. The movie got released on April 15, 2013, and got a worldwide box office of $97.5 million. It has got 6 wins and 20 nominations. The categories are Best Horror Film, Best Makeup, Best Special Effects, and Best Directors. They received a Saturn Award for Best Makeup, Vengora Chainsaw Awards for Creature Effects, Best Wide Release Film, and Lou Taylor Pucher won for Best Supported Actor. The rating of the movie are an IMDb score of 6.5 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 63%. The actors who joined the productions are Jane Levy as Mia Allen, Shiloh Fernandez as David Allen, Lou Taylor Pucci as Eric, Jessica Lucas as Olivia, and Elizabeth Blackmore as Natalie. The movie was filmed in New Zealand, Woodhill Forest in Auckland, and Murray Way Beach for the cabin. The weapons that they used while filming were a chainsaw, a nail gun, broken glass, and a machete. The props that they used were some bodies and 70,000 gallons of fake blood. CGI was never used the whole time, which is insane. The foreshadowing is that after Mia gets possessed, when the trees grab her, and then she comes back to the cabin, she warns David that they are coming for them. In Evil Dead Rise, director Lee Cronin takes a helm, delivering a terrifying vision of urban horror with a focus on practical effects and relentless tension. Chronic brings a new level of terror to the franchise. They had an idea of making another installment while they were doing the script of Don't Breathe 2. They expected people to prefer Don't Breathe 2, but Evil Dead got the most. The development started in October 2019 with a budget of $19 million. Filming began on June 16, 2021, and for the fake blood, they used a mixture of food-based dyes, high fructose corn syrup, and water. Filming had officially wrapped on October 27, 2021. The film was planned to be released in August 2022, but was changed to be released on April 21st, 2023. It had a worldwide box office of $147 million and received 29 award nominations. The categories are Best Horror Film, Best Sounds, Best Makeup, Best Visual Effects, and Best Villains of the Movie. The ratings of the movie are an IMDb score of 6.5 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 84%. The actors that were joined are Lily Sullivan as Beth, Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie, Morgan Davies as Danny, Gabriel Ackles as Bridget, and Neil Fisher as Cassie. The filming location for the movie were in New Zealand, Mount Wellington, and a private property outside Auckland. The weapons they used were a cheese grater, a chainsaw, guns, and a broken mirror. They used the prop for some blood and 1,720 gallons of fake blood. And CGI was used for some Deadites, some blood, and gunshots. The foreshadowing of the movie is that when Danny finds the Book of the Dead, we start thinking that he's going to summon the Deadites. Each director has left their marks on the Evil Dead series, contributing to its legend of one of horror's most beloved franchises. I bet you guys would figure out how hard it was to make these movies. With a huge amount of fake blood, and even makeup for the first installment. But it's not just the directors who have left their marks on the Evil Dead franchise. There are plenty of secrets and surprises hidden within each film. So it's time to get to my final segment, Insane Insiders. The films do have some similarities, including Deadites, the main characters, the story, and a weapon, which is Ash's chainsaw hand. There were some Easter eggs that I saw, and they surprised me as always. So let's get right into it. In The Evil Dead, eagle-eyed viewers can spot a torn poster that pays homage to another horror classic, The Hills Have Eyes. It's just one of many nods to horror history sparkled throughout the film. A super fun fact is that Sam Raimi was 20 years old when directing and writing the film. I was surprised when I heard that he was 20 years old. Like, that's amazing. Evil Dead 2 is a pack of Easter eggs, including a blink and you'll miss it appearance of Freddy Krueger's iconic glove. It's a subtle nod to horror fans that adds an extra layer of fun to the film. I think the most surprising trivia fact was that Stephen King made it possible for Evil Dead to start filming. King was a massive fan of the original, The Evil Dead, and helped promote the movie to draw audience in. He posted a positive review of the film, which helped it gain attention and popularity. Stephen King is amazing, and I like how he's interested in those movies. In Army of Darkness, director Sam Raimi makes a cameo as one of the medieval knights. A fun Easter egg for fans who knows where to look. The movie actually had two endings when they released, but one ending was disappointing to a lot of viewers. In the 2013 remake of Evil Dead, stays true at its root while adding its own twists and turns. One clever callback sees David gives Mia the same necklace that Ash gave his girlfriend Linda in the original film. A fun trivia fact for this film: CGI was never used in this movie. Everything looked absolutely realistic and amazing. And finally, in Evil Dead Rise, keen listeners may have recognized the voice of Ash Williams himself among the tapes discovered by the characters. A clever nod to the franchise iconic hero. Also, if you pay attention to the inside of the cabin, the prologue of the film is a ticking clock on the wall. It's the exact same clock as the one Cheryl is drawing in the first installment, The Evil Dead. I also want to say that for those of you who don't know, we got an announcement of 2 more Evil Dead movies. We don't know when will they come out, but I can't wait to see them when they come out very soon and start discussing them on this podcast. You thought I was done? Well, think again. I thought to add a twist to this episode and share some of my personal thoughts about this chilling franchise. A long time ago, my dad was telling me everything about the franchise, and I found it very interesting, and that I should see them. And when I did, I started to love them. I feel really proud about how it has evolved over the years, and it goes from big comedy moments to a lot more creepy ones. The character that I think makes the franchise stand out is Ash Williams, because he becomes an iconic hero of a horror franchise, and he has a chainsaw for his hand and protects the world from the Deadites. This franchise has its own hero, which isn't common in horrors. You'll often see survivors, but never a true hero to come and save the day. And that's a big standout point, I think. The elements that I find really memorable are a chainsaw hand, the Deadites, and an iconic hero in a horror movie, which is Ash, because he is so brave. When he got his chainsaw hand and was set to kill the Deadites, he says the greatest line of all times, "Groovy." My favorite film of the franchise would be the 2013 remake, because it's a lot scarier and a lot gruesome. It has huge amount of blood and gore, and the way the Deadites rolls are super disturbing. My favorite scene is from one of the remakes, where the final Deadite says, "I'm going to feast on your soul." Mia replies, "Why don't you feast on this?" before shoving her chainsaw into the Deadite's mouth and sawing the top half of her body completely in half. I remember watching it thinking, oh my god. I love how the directors made these stories a lot more popular, gruesome, and funny. The two directors stand out because they were interested in putting an iconic hero in the franchise, which is very clever. And about Army of Darkness, they put two different endings for this film, but they had to remove them for one ending. One of them is when Ash needs to have 6 drops of a potion for sleeping in a cave so that he will go back home, but gets distracted by a sound and takes 1 extra potion by mistake and overslept. And the other ending is when he does get back home. I love the one where he does get back home. You might see them in the selections of deleted scenes. I think the practical effects are wonderful because they made the Deadites look gruesome and the makeup looks realistic. And for the future installments, I would love to see more Deadites, Ash Williams coming back, and a huge amount of blood. And there you have it, the spine-chilling saga of the Evil Dead franchise. From humble beginnings to worldwide phenomenons, these films has cemented their place in horror history. Whether you're a longtime fan or a newcomer to the series, there's something for everyone in the world of the Evil Dead. This concludes today's episode. I hope you all enjoy it. And if you haven't seen the movies, then go see them. I will be back in your head next week for another comedy horror film about a child character. Not from the Twisted Childhood universe, but a Christmas parody horror film about the Grinch called The Mean One. So, until next time, stay spooky and keep those chainsaws handy. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Horror Talks with Tate podcast to join the conversation about all things horror. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, the Deadites may rise, but so will you.